Okay.
Go.
All right. So, listening to Cushion Orange Juice, like when it first came out, it was supposed to come out about like 2 years ago or something like that, and like it kept getting pushed back or whatever. So when it came out now, that made me more excited because I was like, ooh, it might be more fire now that it got pushed back. Do you think that when an album gets pushed back like that it might sound better like that? Or are you initially hyped off the initial announcement?
I can't lie. I'm usually more hype off the initial announcement. I think because I assume that if you're going to announce it, if you're going to like really do a nice rollout on it, you have cooked long enough. Like it's fully baked, it's ready, you're very proud. I think when people don't make enough noise, then I'm kind of like, all right, this might be a throwaway. This might just be like to satisfy a contract. But so I can't lie. With the Wiz project, with this project, I had heard rumblings, but to be totally honest, I didn't really take them that serious. But I see now that that was a mistake for sure. I think that this is actually a really great body of work from what I've heard so far. And I really do think that people need to like pay it a little bit more attention, just a little bit more attention for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those sleeper albums of the year that feels like it's not really going to get the recognition until probably a little bit later after it's had
Mm-hmm.
some time to kind of marinate a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I haven't even just like you, I haven't gotten through the full album yet either. And really through the first half of it, it sounds really good. He brought a couple of old themes from the original Cushion Orange Juice into this new one. So I'm excited to listen to the rest of it. And, for those old school Wiz fans, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. And I got some more questions for you, but let's, we'll start the show first. So, welcome on back to Bar Exam. Hope that you guys are having a great day, and I hope that we make it even better. So, I am Allie. I'm back with my crew. I've been away for a while, so we're gonna get into what I've been up to in my absence. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. What have you
But
been up to? What have you been doing?
I've been
What's been
shaking
going
the
on?
table. I've been shaking the room. So you know what I mean. But first, let's intro everybody else. So welcome, guys, to Bar Exam, and I'm here with the Bar Exam crew. We got Eric G in the building. How you doing, Eric?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for
Hell
asking.
yeah. And then we also have Shane G in the building. What's up, Shane?
What's the word? How we doing?
We're doing great. And at the moment, Marcus is busy. So Marcus is here with us in spirit, sending him some love, sending him some energy because he's definitely doing some good work out there. But we also actually have a special guest today. We will get into that a little bit further. But at the moment, let's just, finish up this conversation and then we'll welcome them to the stage as well. But yeah, so we're talking about Wiz Khalifa's new album. It is called Cushion Orange Juice 2. So we already had one album with that same name. This is a repeat of the same name, but totally different, songs and all that kind of stuff. And I feel as though people were very much, I think people were waiting for Wiz Khalifa to come back out with something. I mean, it's been quite some time. And don't get me wrong, like when he took his initial break, he was on a high. He had just done the Fast and Furious soundtrack. I don't think that he was in need of another hit at the time, but it has been a while. So he has finally entered back into the mainstream, and we appreciate him because lately it's been feeling like a drought in hip hop. So him bringing in this new album has definitely been accepted, but I also think that it is, like we were saying, a little bit of a sleeper. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I also want to talk to you guys about what was going on where was I at? What was happening? And we'll just dive in a little bit more, what the other hosts were doing as well. So at the moment, coming before the bar is what the hell, what was happening with Allie, but also what are some of the craziest moments that you have had on vacation? And I'll open it up to the floor. I want the fellas here on the conversation as well. I had a great time in Jamaica, but I also want to hear from the fellas for sure. So, how you guys doing? How's
Oh,
it
we're doing
been?
great. Doing
I'm
great.
chilling. I'm chilling.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. We missed you, but always happy to have you back. We've been shooting other content, going crazy. Make sure you check out Shoot Style Sessions. Make sure you check out Politics as Usual, all the other shows on Ethos, you already know. Make sure you check out our interview series. We just dropped a new interview over there. So yeah, we Ethos just cooking, just
That's what it sound like.
staying active. You know how we do.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love it. But have you guys been like getting into the weather? It's getting a little bit warmer outside. We're shedding those layers. You guys are over in Arizona. So I can
Mhm.
only imagine the weather is getting nice, right?
Yeah. Like
Oh
right
yeah,
now, it's nice. In like a month, it's gonna be a little.
yeah. That's
I
when it
mean,
gets shaky.
Really?
Yeah, it's like because it gets too hot.
Mm. I can't lie. So I have somebody that is, one of my friends. She's on Instagram. She moved to Arizona. She was saying that like it's 100 degrees right now in Arizona. Is that true?
right
Right
now,
now,
it's still like
no.
in the 70s.
It's been in like the 70s, like 80s, something like that. So
Yeah,
out here, that is basically perfect weather. Like
yeah.
Right.
that 75 between 85-degree weather in Arizona is like the perfect weather, especially if there's like a nice little light breeze going. Perfect.
Mhm.
Once you get past 85, that's when you creep into the like hot territory. And in the 90s, as long as you're by like a pool, you're good. But then you get above 100, and that's when it gets bad.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, I 1,000% agree for California. We were touching a little bit like 75 here and there. Right now, though, we're given like 60, 65 at the most, but very breezy. And then like the sun keeps ducking away for most of the day.
See, that's
So
what.
like she really
Yeah,
feeling like fitty, you know what I mean? Like it's a vibe for a second and then it's not.
yeah.
So I'm not at the pool just yet, is what I'm saying. Out here
Right.
anyway, out here. But I was in Jamaica. I went out there for my birthday, did an all girls trip. It was
Okay.
gorgeous the entire time. It did rain, but it was one of those like very warm, refreshing summer rains where you could still be out. You could be under something, but you weren't like, I need to get a blanket and a hoodie and a jacket. Like, I'm cool with this tank top. It's still hot
Got
as hell.
yeah.
So it was a vibe. It was 1,000% a vibe. But I am glad to be back, but I can't lie. Island time, boy, there ain't nothing like it. Island,
I bet.
Oh yeah.
which actually gets me into my story. So I do want to know what your wildest stories are from vacation.
Hmm.
I will preface with my quick little story. So on vacation, we wanted to do some excursions outside of the resort. We had a resort that we were staying on. It was gorgeous. However, after a while, you're like, let's explore. I want to see some more of like what the locals get into. So we decided we wanted to go on a few trips. So we wanted to go to Rick's Cafe one day, and the next day we wanted to go to a rafting situation, like on those bamboo rafts.
Okay.
So yeah. So first day, it is a great idea to go to Rick's Cafe. They tell me the drive is an hour. In my head, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. However, I'm willing to ride because like
See,
once in a lifetime, I've never been to Jamaica. Everyone says to go to Rick's, including Marcus from this exact same show. And I was like, okay. Because before Marcus told me it was the thing to do, I had actually told the group text, I'm gonna pass. It wasn't
So I'm not trying to go to real Jamaica. I'm trying to be in resort Jamaica. Like I'm not trying to. I understand.
exactly. So then when Marcus was like, try Rick's rum, I was like, okay, if Rick's rum is worth the drive, let's do it. However, you know how there is a thing called CP time, and for those who don't know, that means colored people time. Okay,
Mhm.
this is an African American phenomena in our culture where if you are a Black American and you say to somebody, hey, I'm picking, you know, I'm just trying to be very PC, but if you say I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes, guys, what is that usually like? I'm about to be on your street 5 minutes.
Double the time.
At least,
minimum.
if not 3
Go
times.
ahead and double that time.
At least 30. Like you say 5 minutes, that's a half hour. Like on the real.
Easy.
Dead ass. Like you could be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes away from my house.
Easy.
And the thing is that like as a Black American, you're like, okay. If this was from anybody else, I would be outside. But because it's from you, I will be in my crib. I will continue to do what the fuck I was doing until we come about into like a 2-minute zone. But even then, who knows if you're going to be here. So when I was getting into this car with our driver, the Jamaican driver, I was kidding around with everybody. And I was like, what if we fuck around? And like CP time here is totally different. And they're like, nah, dog, nah. Like, so the driver's name is Peter. In Jamaica, you don't say ER. So you say pizza. So we're like, nah, pizza would never. He would never, you know. So we're just kicking it. And I'm just like, okay, let's just see. So 30 minutes in, we're cool. 45, I'm getting nervous. An hour 15 is when my flag started getting raised. The alarm started going off.
Because you're like, all right, they said an hour.
On country roads. We were still, I didn't see anything very scenic. So I was just like, what is going on, Peter? And he's like, we'll be there. We be there when we be there. Peter, the thing is, we have GPS. Tell me when we're going to be there, Peter. Y'all, we didn't get to Rick's Cafe until about 2.5 hours into this trip.
Oh, come on, man. They
when
said
when I say I wanted to fight Peter because of his colored people time, his island colored people time.
It's even more relaxed. They like
and everybody else was laughing me off. But like I've been on islands. Like if I've gone to Hawaii, where niggas in Hawaii are just like waking up at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning because that's normal for them. And like they think that wrapping the day up at 1 o'clock is chill. And then saying that like I'm dead ass. And they think that like everybody else in the world is also
operating
vibing
on that same time.
And you be like, bro,
I've met people who are truly
Fam, I'm at work
time.
another 5 hours easy. Like, what do you
what are you on right now? But they're like, well, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Y'all wake up at like, you know, to them, you know what I'm saying? That is crazy. You know, that's big shit. But yeah, no, the fuck? So yeah, I was a little bit upset about island people time. But other than that, absolutely beautiful. So much culture. Had an amazing time. The food was banging. The drinks were banging. Scenery was gorgeous. The melanin was popping.
Yes.
The clocks just wasn't working. That's just it. That's it. So
there we go.
That was a crazy experience for me. The next day, he got us again. Peter fucked around again. Yes, y'all. Yes, Eric. Peter got us again.
Did he hold it down the second day at least, or
right?
We left earlier this time. However, we didn't leave at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning as we should have. We left at like 11, 12 o'clock, 11:30 to go to this bamboo raft shit. And so I asked everyone, before we get in the car, how long? Stop fucking
like for
around.
real though.
Like
Right.
seriously.
How long is it going to be? They were like 30 minutes. And I asked the driver when I was like, don't fucking play around with me.
Don't fuck
Of course,
around.
he was fucking playing around with me, Eric and Shane. Of course, he was playing around with me. We get in the car. We drive 30 minutes in. And you know, at this point, I'm now like, okay, you are on a very strict clock. Like, I am not giving you no extra nada. Like, 30 minutes in, where are we at? I need an ETA. What's going on? I don't see us pulling into anything. Oh, yeah, we almost there. What do you mean?
Hour and a half?
Later,
Hour and a half. Hour and a half.
into the
So
jungles of Jamaica.
So the math.
Don't be mathing.
Well, it kind of is a little bit. So what do we do here? So the first one was
the first day he told me an hour. It took us nearly 3 hours.
So,
Second day he told me 30 minutes. Took us an hour and just about 30.
We're looking at about a times
about
3.
An hour. Yeah, it's about.
Is what we're looking at.
If they say you'll be there in an hour, make it about 2.
3.
Right. Not 3. We're looking at about 3. I'm saying if they say 15 minutes, that's 45.
At
you know
least.
what I'm saying? That's I'm seeing the okay. I'm seeing
okay. So you think they double the time?
Triple.
It's given 1.5 at minimum.
Right.
Oh yeah, 1.5 maybe. Yeah, it's somewhere
1.5 on the nose.
You know, I'm not a math scientist, but it's something. You know, it's somewhere in there though.
Yeah,
you know, for sure.
Definitely.
And the craziest part for me, guys, was we were pulling up, and Peter's like, "Yo, so when we get here, don't take too long. Don't take too long. We can't be here all day. We can't be here all day. We gotta. You go in, you get on the raft, you have fun, we go home." And I was like, respectfully, Peter.
Respectfully, Peter,
I don't give a fuck about your clock, Peter.
I'd have got Peter's phone number. I'd have got Peter's phone number and texted him all day. We're almost done.
Peter, you know what, Shane? That's more grace, because you know what I told Peter. I was like, you know what, Peter? We're gonna get up on these motherfucking rafts, and hear me out, Peter. I don't give a fuck how long we're gonna be. I said, Peter, we're gonna take as long as it takes. I said, Peter, if we take all fucking day, respectfully, you're gonna vibe the fuck out. You know why? Because if you had told me that we were gonna take this long of a drive, I would have been here earlier. So your
Peter.
day is now intermingled with my day, buddy. We're gonna be here the entire time. And that's exactly what we did.
You might as well
hear me out. Peter has me so dead.
You might as well get out and get your own raft, Peter. Like you here. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
You in this motherfucker now.
You in here. I get it.
Shout out Peter, buddy.
Shout out to Peter.
Big shout outs to Peter. Big shout out to Peter. Afterwards, he was on the sideline. He was there. He was ready to pick us back up. He saw me. He was off to the side. He didn't want to be too close because my energy was already pretty fiery at the beginning. He was off the side. He was like, so how was it? You know? And I was like, you know what, Peter? It was everything that you said. You were right. I had a great time. It was worth the drive. You were 1,000% right, Peter. You were 1,000% right. I was like, but I still would have liked to know about the ride. But I was like, you know what though? You did your big one. You did that. I'm gonna go in the car. I'll be there. Everybody, you go ahead and wrangle the rest of them up, but I'll be in the car. I'm satisfied. Jamaica owes me nothing.
You know what I'm saying? For next time, Jamaican time times 3. You got it. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody in the chat, please take that note. Please take that note, because they are not playing with your asses. They gonna get that coin.
Well, I guess this is very stereotypical, but going into my vacation story is very much weed related, not Jamaica related. But so as the resident stoner of the crew, we all went to, and they say that, but all of us were clearly by the details of the mission, which I'm about to get into. So we, for spring break one year, it's like 20 of us, and everybody don't have bread like that. So we like, okay, we're not going to Miami. We're not doing none of that. Where can we go and still have fun? We like, let's go to Toronto. Or I'm sorry, no, Niagara Falls. It was the Canada side though. So we're like, all right, cool. Let's go to Niagara Falls. So we bring a little bit of stuff with us over the border, but that shit is gone by the time we get to the hotel. You know what I'm saying? It's a long drive. So, and we're like 4 or 5 cars deep. You know what I'm saying? All the cars are full. So it's one of those situations. We get to the hotel. Everybody starts looking at me like, so what are we going to do about the rest of this trip? And I'm like, all right, so y'all need me to go around in Niagara Falls, Canada, which is not near Detroit. It's not like Windsor, where it's right on the other side, and you might know some people. This is like over New York. I don't know nobody in Niagara Falls, Canada. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but yet here I am assigned to this mission by the homies. So I'm like, all right, think like a stoner. Where would you go? Where would you be?
Water.
Like there's
easily.
a tattoo shop not far from here. Let's go there. You know what I'm saying? So me and like 3 of the homies, we hop in the rental. We go to the tattoo shop. Ask the lady up there, like, do you know where I can get some weed? She said, you should go to the strip club. That's where the drug dealers be. I'm like, that makes sense. So I go to the strip club. Here's the problem. It's the middle of the day. So nobody's there except for like, you know, like people that shouldn't be at the strip club in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? So
People's dads and grandpas. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so there's nobody about to walk up on and be like, you got the weed, you know? So I'm like, all right. So I see a dancer, you know what I mean? I walk up to her. I'm like, yo, I was told that y'all would know where the good is. And she's like, no, but if you come back here later tonight, you'll get I was like, all right, cool, but I'm not really trying to wait. But that's a second option. So we mash out. I'm like, all right, where else do we go? Go to a smoke shop. Dude's like, don't have my connect right now, but if you go to this clothing spot around the corner that sells like jerseys and fitted hats and shit like that, you know, it was like,
I feel like the taxi drivers are in on it. Like, what is going on?
Right? So
this is all word of mouth.
All word of mouth shit, right? This is like 2009, 2008, something like that. So I'm like, all right. We go to the spot that he tells us to go. You know, we walk in, and Allie, you'll be familiar with these, with what the spot looks like, because it's like, you know how downtown LA in the fashion district, it's like just the big open stores where you just walk in, and they got it's like a big ass garage door that they got to use to close it.
No door.
Yeah, and it's
get on in here.
Like it was kind of like that. It was like just a big open outside, like front type of thing. So almost like Venice Beach, like those shops on Venice Beach, kind of where the whole front is open. It was like that. So we walk in, dude's expecting me. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you who my man just sent? And I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's like, all right, cool. Let me, you know, how much y'all looking for or whatever, you know, so we get to, you know, speaking about what we're looking for. And then he's like, all right, cool. My man's gonna meet y'all like around the corner or whatever. And I'm like, all right, what's he gonna be wearing? And he told me what he was gonna be wearing. He put me on the phone with him. I'm like, all right, are you coming by yourself? He said, yeah. I'm like, all right. So then we go, and because mind you, it's 4 of us. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, hey, you know what I mean? If you're coming by yourself, we're not getting robbed or no shit like that because there's 4 of us. We good.
Right.
So you know, we meet up with him. He ends up giving us like way more than what we thought we was gonna end up getting for a good price and shit. So, you know, I ended up saving the weekend for the homies and everything. But
yeah,
that was a mission. I was in another country, driving around asking strangers where I could find some weed.
Yo,
and it worked.
You went to a few spots. I mean, you were way more determined than I would have been.
Right.
Yeah, we made it happen. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. You made it happen, Captain. That was lit.
Yeah, that's fact.
It was like a treasure hunt.
It literally, like, you know,
that is lit. That is dope. So next time you go into town, you got to go to every spot.
Right. I got all those same spots in Niagara Falls.
It wasn't like you even went to bad spots. I mean, the story got really good when you went to the strip club. I'm like, oh shit, twofer.
Right.
Nigga went to so many different locations just for the weed.
just
Yo,
from
it'd
Love
be
it.
like that.
just in hopes to find some weed.
Right.
Like no guarantee.
Oh, you know what? Really good question though. Was it worth it? Like, was the weed of quality that was worth going around town?
So here's the thing: in Detroit, we used to get all of our because at the time it was still a lot of Reggie floating around. So in order to get the good weed, unless you were getting it shipped from California, which not everybody was doing, or Arizona in a lot of cases, which not everybody was doing because that was way riskier. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
We would go through Canada because they had good stuff. So a lot of people would get their stuff from Vancouver and British Columbia and places like that and bring it through Michigan. So that was where our good supply came from. So typically going up there, you know what I'm saying, you was going to run into some better stuff than you would have in other places anyway. So
Got it.
Facts.
so at the time it was very much worth it. Now I think nowadays you can probably go to a dispensary and find stuff that's way better. You know what I'm saying? But at the time it was definitely worth it.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'm in. Okay. All right, dope. Well then, that's all I need to know. I'll do
Oh,
that
yeah.
same route. Okay. So then, Eric, what about you though? What is your craziest story from vacay?
Man, that's hard to say because I lived in Florida for a year when I was in the military.
I'm sure you got plenty of
So
local stories too.
Right.
yeah, like my spring break stories, like they pale in comparison to my Florida stories when I was just living there. But if there's one I can bring up just in like general, it's one day, and it always starts out, you never start out knowing that you're gonna uh end up where you end up like a few days before. You always find out about what you're gonna do day of, and then you just go, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's this crazy party going on, or whatever the case may be. So one day I wake up and I get a text from one of my friends at the time, and they say, hey, there's this sandbar party going on. Do you want to come with us? And I say, yeah. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, this is just gonna be like a party on the beach where it's like a little sandbar thing type setup where there might be like a little bar thing off to the side, and then everyone is just kind of partying in the water on the beach, whatever the case may be. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I get picked up and we're on our way to grab supplies, all this good stuff. And we end up pulling up to a boating dock. And I'm thinking, wait a second, are we going on a boat? And so I look at my friends and I say, hey, I thought you said we were going to a sandbar. And they said, yeah, we are. And I said, well, why are we getting on a boat? And they said the sandbar is in the middle of this ocean thing, and there's about to be a bunch of boats there. And that's where we're partying. And I said, okay. And I still didn't quite fully grasp what they meant until I pulled up there. And when we pulled up, it's this like area that's like off the side of the ocean, and there's just like all the sand that's like risen up from like the bottom of the ocean or whatever. But it's like going out into the ocean enough to where it's just like outstretched. And there's a bunch of boats off to the side where the water is still deep enough, and there's just seas of people just floating in, and somebody has like a DJ booth set up like in the sand. I don't even know how they did it. They have like a boat set up by there, and it was just one of the craziest scenes that I've ever seen. There was like 3 different DJs within like a span of like 6 hours. It was like a mini festival that these people had just like thrown themselves. I had no idea how they did it. I have no idea how they got all these boats over there, but it was one of the craziest days and one of the most funnest experiences that I've ever had in my entire life.
That's tight.
That sounds so lit. Yes, that sounds amazing. Wait, okay. I really gotta ask though. Were you on a white person's boat?
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Okay, I was gonna say only white people coordinate the most wildest shit in the craziest spots, and it works. Like those motherfuckers will MacGyver some shit for you. And you'll be like, you did what in the middle of the ocean? For me, it's normally in the middle of a forest and somewhere, and you're like, nigga, what? We're so far from civilization, but you got this whole fucking DJ set up. I cannot believe they have MacGyvered to the level of ocean, of sea, like water DJs. Gotta be a whole nother level to unlock.
And they make it seem like the most easiest shit ever.
That's crazy. That's dope though. That is so dope. Next time you got to invite the crew.
Oh yeah.
That's
definitely.
all I hear. That's all I hear. But you know what, Eric? So since we're talking about DJs, we're talking about music, let's get into Eric's discovery of the week. Eric always drops some really great new finds. So let's see what he's found so far for the week.
Yeah, for sure. So I got 5 artists that I've been wanting to shout out for a few weeks. A few people I found off SoundCloud through the years, and a few people I know from Arizona as well. So coming before the discovery list, I got a SoundCloud artist by the name of Belize. I got an artist by the name of She Loves Boone. Ask him what that means if you really want to know. I got a Arizona duo by the name of Injury Reserve. I got an artist by the name of Big Baby Gucci, and I got an artist / producer named Topside. And those are my 5 artist discovery of the week.
Thank you so much, Eric. We definitely got to dive into that.
Big
Shane,
shout
have
out
you listened
Injury
to any of
Reserve.
those?
I was gonna say
big shout out to Injury Reserve for sure.
We've actually been in the studio with those guys a couple of times before they like really took off. Like they're really making noise now. They've been on like the NBA live soundtrack. So they've made some moves, since they were in Arizona. I think they're mainly based out of Cali now, but no, those guys definitely, like, we saw it back then. We saw that they had something, when they had the makeshift studio and they was, cranking out shit in the back of their parents' dentist office. You know what I'm saying? Like now they're making real moves. So it's real dope to see them doing what they're doing. But yeah, definitely plan on checking out those other artists too. I trust Eric's ear. So
As we all do. Yes. So everybody go check those artists out. And if you guys want to see even more, make sure that you guys join us next week and check out the past picks from Eric, because he always has a great selection for you guys. Now, speaking of new artists, we actually have an artist that's going to join us today on the show. So let's go ahead and welcome on in Christou DaKeeng. Welcome.
Hello. Hey, how y'all doing?
Great.
How's everybody doing? Y'all hear me fine?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
cool,
sir.
Cool.
How you doing? Where are you coming in from?
I'm doing well. I'm from South Carolina. I go by the name of Christou DaKeeng. I'm a singer / rapper / songwriter / producer. I do pretty much everything. I build websites. I do graphic design. I own my own publishing. So, I've been making headway in the Southeast and a little bit on the West Coast. So I appreciate y'all for bringing me out.
Absolutely. We appreciate you for being here and taking the time to talk to us. And we just definitely want to just know a little bit more about you. I know that our fans, our audience do as well. So I love that you already prefaced that you're a rapper, you're a little bit of a singer. We already looked into some of your work, so we know that your latest single is Trillionaire. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what the inspiration was, like what was the vision behind it?
Yeah, most definitely. So first and foremost, for the year 2025, I'm dropping a single every month. I had Stay in the Head for January. February, I had Aquaman, which is like a nice R&B track that, it kind of switches up. And then next I dropped Trillionaire, and Trillionaire was I'm an avid investor. I invest in different things outside of just doing my own, tech work and things of that sort. I like to invest in stocks and crypto and things like that. I've won some, I lost some, and I just keep it moving in that space. And so I watch videos like Grant Cardone, Gary V, different people like that. And I see they always like, do well put together videos. So, I just thought to myself, I like to shop my music to like, networks and, try to shop them for commercials. So I was just thinking like, in the investor space, we need something that's just like real dope, real right now. And then I also kind of took a little bit of inspiration from the idea of the song Billionaire with Bruno Mars singing the hook. So, it was kind of like, in the same span, I just wanted to give people something that they could be motivated by every day, and just give them something that they could feel like they are getting victory from. They are triumphant in whatever they're trying to achieve, especially in the space of things for people now in the country. So, hopefully, don't let me know if I'm a little long-winded, but that's just kind of, what I've been doing for now.
No, you're great.
No, you're
You're
definitely
great.
good. You said something interesting though, which I picked up on also when I was listening to it, which is it does feel inspirational. It doesn't really feel braggy. You know what I mean? Like a lot of records where, you're talking about wealth or you're talking about, getting money or things like that, they can come off very braggy and almost off-putting, especially in a climate like right now. Whereas your record almost felt, like I said, it felt inspirational. Like it makes you want to get up and, try something to go, even if it's not about money, even if it's about, mental wellness, or it's about, spiritual health, or however you frame it, you can be wealthy in many ways. So I almost took
Right.
it like that. I want to be, $1 million trillion, $1 million billion trillion dollars. Am I looking too deep into it, or is that also part of what you were going for?
No, I definitely like. I mean, I'm very spiritual. I was raised like I've been singing ever since I've been 3 years old. So I was raised singing in the church. But as I grew older, I took my own spiritual journey and learned a lot of things outside of what I was taught when I was raised. So, for me, like, wealth is all encompassing. It's something that's not only in your finance, but in your goals, your things you want to achieve, your relationships, so in every standpoint of full wealth, having full wealth is just providing happiness and comfort and peace all around you, by achieving the things that you set out, so you're absolutely correct, spiritually, whatever, and then the first set of the lines, like the way I set up the lyrics, it's kind of relevant to how my life journey has been. I've had friends that we start business ventures and then, things will kind of fall apart and then we're not friends anymore, and I'm that type of person, but I can understand if somebody's hurt from a situation or feel, have a different perspective for myself, then, it's going to be, a rough situation. But, when it gets to the point of like you minding your business, you handling your business and doing your thing, and then you just have people that talk down about your ventures or what you're trying to achieve, or just being negative against what you strive to do. You hear things sometimes like, "Oh, you're not Diddy, you're not Oprah." You get compared to other people. So my first few lines are, "Hold up, what you thinking when they ask about me? Do you give them your real feelings or make it look sweet?" So like, it's like, are you being real, to others about our relationship? Are you being real to others about what you say about me? I even if you are or if you are not, I'm gonna continue to do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be self-empowered to get to my goals, regardless of who's talking, what obstacles are in my way. If I gotta do more push-ups to appeal and be a sexy singer to the ladies, then I gotta do that. So it's all encompassing. You know what I mean? And that's how I wrote it.
Hell yeah. Period. Yes, do those push-ups. The fuck? Okay. Hello. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's the artist development I want to hear. No kidding. No, but I love it. No, I love that. But I do like knowing more about where you were coming from. Now, before I ask my next question, Eric, do you got any questions real quick?
Yeah, something that you kind of touched on a little bit just as you were describing yourself. There was a few similarities that I picked up on when I really heard the Trillionaire single, and for me, one of the ones that stands out to me the most when I heard it was I heard a lot of chants in that song, Chance the Rapper, and even as you describe kind of your story and kind of where you got to like right now, it makes so much sense to me even in my comparison now, because a lot of what Chance talks about and his themes in his music really resonate with a lot of the things that you talk about. So one thing that I wanted to ask is that somebody that you had in mind when you were making this song? Do you listen to him at all? And if not, who are some inspirations that you take to as far as just when you're making music?
So I like Chance, but I don't listen to a lot of him, and I haven't drawn any inspiration from his material, but I can see exactly what you're saying. Like that song he did, that fuck you, with, he had Jamie Foxx, but like sampled in the background. Like
Yeah.
he said a lot, you know what I mean? He was saying like he was gonna buy the Chicago Tribune or something, a paper to run you racist bitches out of business. Like he's saying that, like, every instance of him trying to remain independent, or safeguard his independence, like he's just like said no, he's not going to sit down, he's not going to take that, all those drawbacks that you're trying to give me, I'm not going to let that deter me from what I'm trying to achieve. And that is very, so like, I mean, I mentioned the song that I heard him do, but it's not, it wasn't drawn from him, but I see the similarities as well. I do take from like I listened to a lot of old music when I was little. So like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, James Brown, Michael Jackson, Prince. I drew a lot from them. And then I looked later on as the people they were. So, people advocating for publishing rights, Prince, Michael Jackson advocating for artists to own publishing and be able to learn the game just by watching him, take in this and then pay for that, and it later on be an asset to them. So, it's even that mindset that we have to have, especially as independent artists, is to understand like some of the moves that we make now might not pay right now, but it's going to pay later in tremendous ways. And so that's, this is also that song to be that motivation for whenever you feeling, you woke out of bed wrong, you woke up out of bed wrong, and you're not feeling the best. So like, this is something you need to turn on, get yourself in the groove. If you're about to go work out, if you're about to go run, walk, whatever your goals are, you know what I mean? It's just about getting you there. And, this one was kind of just like, I've been rapping since I've been 12. So this one was just kind of like a self-inspired, poetic, vision of my life, and where it's been, and, where it's going.
Okay. I love that. And actually, I really love that you were touching on artists getting their masters, getting their publication, and just being more knowledgeable about that. And I actually want to know, how did you learn about it? Like, did you watch documentaries about Prince, or like how did you know that these artists own their masters, or about the struggle to own their masters, so that other artists who are aspiring, who are, coming up, can also kind of like get that knowledge too?
So, as cool as I am now, I've always been a bit of a geek and a nerd. So therefore, I do a lot of reading and a lot of research, so I think that's just kind of how I came to understand some of the things. And then I just pay attention to a lot. Like, I have great memory, so that's what allowed me to excel in school and things like that. So I think it just like, when I really retain something in my memory, I use it to deduce, new hypothesis about things going on in the world today. So, I seen where Prince had said it in an interview, and then later on in my own life, um, I had a hit single that I didn't get any royalties from because like the paperwork was done around me. but the song just took off. So it was like some damage control I was trying to do, you know, and I had my business in order, you know, for the most part. As far as an artist, you know, I knew everything to do as an artist and writer, you know, but it just kind of got away from me, you know what I mean? And so even to this day, that song spins on the radio around here and throughout the Southeast, events and stuff, you know, they'll play that and everybody will just, you know, kind of go crazy for it. But it's a song that I just contributed to the hookup. So, you know, in that standpoint, just having bad deals, you know, I could have been signed with Future under Rocco when he had Future as his artist before they presented the deal to Epic. He was looking for an R&B artist, and he came and approached me, and I handed off the dealings of that situation to my manager at the time, and it just it kind of went left. And that situation kind of dissipated. So you know, I was aspirational about getting some kind of, especially like a publishing deal, but after a while it was like, you know what, like I need to pay attention to what my ancestors, what God trying to show me. And so I started to just like bit by bit, you know, I worked a 9 to 5 and I just started like, you know, buying my LLC, um I was already a BMI artist, so you know, being a publisher for BMI, and then my engineer, you know, I'll pay him sometimes because we best friends, and then you know he helps me develop songs to be even better. So I'll pay him sometimes with songwriting credits, but he's ASCAP, so I had to get a publishing company with ASCAP and own both ASCAP and the BMI publishing companies in order to have him as an artist under my ASCAP, and then I'd be a songwriter, and I'd be a songwriter under BMI. So just little things like that, you know, but then I was just very aspirational to owning everything I did because I know I make dope music and I just wanted it to be, you know, solidified that I don't get overlooked any other time. Like with my thing, like you got to come through me, like 1000%. You know, you have to pay me. You know, even if you want to sign me to a record deal, I sign myself to myself. So you gotta buy me from me in order to sign me as an artist, you know. So that's a whole nother deal that your lawyer has to make versus what you normally give the artist. So just little things like that is what helped me to, you know, grow in my understanding of ownership and the importance of it. And when you have that thing that really, really takes off and the world sees it, you know, you're in front of it instead of behind it trying to chase it.
Yeah. I mean, you said a whole lot. So I just want to unpack a little bit. So basically you said like you learn from the greats, like you watch the interviews, you listen to the conversations, the pain points for them, for example, Prince. And then you also had a mix of your own life experience. You tried to safeguard yourself as best as you could. Things happen though, there's always another perspective or another side of the industry or the business or whatever, so you still have to be
Right.
vigilant. But I love that you continue to learn about the business, create LLCs, or create companies so that you could be protected on multiple fronts. And I think that that is an aspect that a lot of artists don't fully take into account. I think that a lot of times they're in the creative mode, they're in that perspective, and they don't realize that being business minded is very, very important as well. So I love that you went through that entire, what your experience was for sure. Now, just to be a little bit nosy, can I know what song it was that you contributed to or no? I just
Yeah,
want to
yeah, it's
know.
on
I'm
YouTube. It's
curious.
on YouTube. It's called Flyway with artist named Kenny Kane. It's on YouTube. So, you know, I don't hold any secrets. I'm not one of them. I'm not scared of anybody. I don't fear anything but God. So at the end of the day, you know, my my truth is open, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the song right there.
Amen.
It
I
has
love
like
it. I'm gonna go.
200,000
I'm gonna
views
go
on
listen.
YouTube. Yeah, go check
Okay.
it out. I mean, I got a lot of dope music. Like I got a lot of dope music, and like what I'm doing now, you know, is just the beginning. Like it's just to show people my diversity. I play drums. I sing on choirs. I was classically trained with singing at Lander University in Greenwood, South Carolina. So, like, I've had vocal training. I sometimes do vocal coaching. I do background voices for a lot of songs. So I'm kind of like a tank around here. So it'll be songs that'll pop up, gospel songs, like all kind of songs, and my voice is in there. You may know it's me, you may not. Some songs I've been the background for female vocals. I have a decent falsetto that kind of blends in. So I've learned to be multifaceted, and to piggyback off of something you said, like a lot of artists, it's a couple things. It's either you don't have the information, you don't have the desire to like run the business side of things, and so you do go towards like having a team that's given to you in a record label, or something of that standpoint, or it's that American dream that's kind of like dangled in your face, like getting a record deal and becoming a Drake or becoming a Beyonce is like the ultimate goal of an artist. But, I'd rather be, and no disrespect to them, but I'd rather be a chameleonaire, invest in a tech company. And now I'm just doing music for the fun of it. And I do it when I want to, and I don't do it when I don't want to. But, it's for me, I love making music, and I love that I have fans. So, I'm gonna continue to do it. But I just want to kind of piggyback off that.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed too in your record, in Trillionaire, was how Eric said he pulled Chance vibes. I pulled Cole vibes, and
Right.
that makes sense when you because you said you're from South Carolina, correct?
Right.
And so he's from North Carolina. So is there sort of a sound in the Carolinas that is a little bit more traditional, for the lack of a better term, like a little bit more boom bap, a little bit more 90s, you know what I mean? Because obviously that's, Cole's bag. Like a lot of his beats and production and stuff is, reminiscent of that era. And then this record is reminiscent of that era. Obviously there's the beat switch at the end, but the meat and potatoes of the record is that classic hip hop sound. So is that a Carolinas thing, or is that just what you're into naturally?
It's just what I'm into naturally. Now it's kind of, if you go further up North Carolina, a lot of those guys do like to rap in that kind of style. Fayetteville is kind of like where J. Cole from. Fayetteville is like it's kind of a mixture, but you do get a lot of like his style, and I think it's more so now because he's famous. But
Okay.
you do get a mixture of different things. We got a lot of singers in South Carolina. There's a song "Boots on the Ground" that's real popular, and actually the guy that made that song, he's that's in the Southern Soul category. He's from a town that neighbors my town. So, I hosted an event that he was a part of. So, we have a lot of diverse talent here. And sometimes you'll see like surrounding areas like Atlanta and Miami, they'll come and, come to South Carolina to get shows and things like that. But then they'll also piggyback off of some of the things that artists do here. So like, you might hear us say some slang that Atlanta said, but we might have said it first, so it's like a little melting pot of things. It's not as diverse as like New York, where you have like a lot of EDM artists and rave artists, or things like that. But I'd say you still got like a lot of neo soul. You got like country rap artists. It's just a vast array of, but it's talent. It's definitely a lot of talent. It's some hidden gems down here.
Absolutely. I love that song. I love the fan song. I can't even lie. And so I love that Carolina is getting some love, some attention because of that song. Because
Yeah,
line
yeah,
dancing is also a big cultural thing. I know that, like, that's different from the music that you make, but I will say that, like, I just love that it's a part of the culture. It's being highlighted, and I feel like whether you
yeah.
like rap, R&B, or line dancing, like you can get into the vibes when that record comes on. Whether you
Right.
know the dance moves or not, you can definitely have a good time
I
to
actually
it.
do. I actually do have a song that's in that category, but I just haven't put it out yet. So I kind of did a
Oh,
poll on Facebook the other day and asked people like, y'all really want me to do a Southern Soul song? Because people been asking me for years. And so, I just got a whole bunch of yes, please. People say I got the voice for it. So I had fun
yeah.
with the track that I ended up doing, and I added it to the lineup of the songs I'm gonna release this year. So, just be on the lookout for that, but I'm sure you'll probably see it.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, let me get my little cowboy boots and my fan.
Yeah.
I like that you're bringing the drop a single once a month vibe back. Like it's been a while since like artists kind of take up that mantle of doing like a projected rollout of doing like okay, I'm gonna do this for like a certain amount of time, and then at the end point, you guys are gonna get this or something like that. Like it almost feels like going back to like old mixtape days or like the
Gotcha.
good or like like the Good Music Fridays when Kanye was doing that back then. So yeah, I like eventful things like that. So I like that. I hope that really turns out well for you. I think that's a really good idea.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, we've been playlisting a little bit, like it's been circulating, and the algorithms, like even on Facebook, have been moving me a little bit more forward. I think it's like a happy medium between like putting a whole project and giving people everything to listen to at once, or just putting out one song a year and don't give people enough time to get to know you or hear anything, or you just don't give it that push all the way throughout the year that song needs, because some songs take 2 years or 3 years or 4 years to pop, but they do their thing as long as you're consistent with it. So, I think overall, the whole goal was I did see like artists like Russ and a couple other artists like do things like that, and but I think they did it like a little bit more frequently. So I just wanted to give people kind of time to like, see some of the visuals I have, see some of the things that some of the interviews I have. And I thank y'all for having me once again. So, just giving people the opportunity to get to know me and to get to see what I can do, because I've often been put in a box because I sing. So like a lot of people categorize me as an R&B singer, but I'm a pop artist. So yeah.
Okay.
I like that. I love the clarification as well. I
Shoot, if
think
they
that a
hear
lot
this
of times.
last record, they'll hear the bars on that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I love the flow too. Like I love the pockets that you decided to rap in. Like,
Thank you.
like I'm a flow guy. I'm a multi-syllable guy. Like I like all that stuff. So, I really appreciate when somebody gets a really nice pocket to rap in and their voice becomes an instrument rather than like it blends in with the beat almost. And it's like everything is a marriage instead of like you trying to almost combat the beat with your words. Like the beat's so nice that I need to spit extra good so you pay attention to what I'm saying, or like because the beat's so nice, I know you're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to do whatever. Like a lot of rappers pick that approach, whereas you found like a good marriage of both. So I feel like that's dope.
That was why his song reminded me of Chance so much, because of how well he can make his voice sound like an instrument over a lot of records.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. You did bring up something else, Eric, though, and that allows us to that is a great transition point. So points to you. Good Music Fridays, you know what I mean? The leader of Good Music, Kanye West, he recently put out a song. That's a little controversial, you know what I mean?
Very. Not little, very.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I just
to
read
the
the lyrics.
You read the lyrics? Does anybody have the lyrics by any chance on deck?
I don't have the lyrics ready, but I do have the tweets ready. If you guys want to pull up the lyrics while I just read the tweet off real quick.
Go ahead. You do that. Let's see what's up with our boy.
Okay, Christou, you seem like you've been all on board for everything. It's about to get bumpy. Okay, so just get ready. All right.
I'm ready for the ride. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, we're talking about Ye. Okay, the man formerly known as Kanye West has definitely been dropping quite a lot of information on us. So on X, Ye went and put a post up that claims that his new song Cousins is about how he and a now incarcerated cousin sexually experimented with each other when they were children. Now this is exactly what he says in the post. He says, this song is called Cousins, about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for killing a pregnant lady a few years after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together, quote, end quote, anymore. And then he went on to say, perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him those dirty magazines when he was 6. And then we acted out what we saw. It gets real wild. I mean, he continues to go on to say, my dad had Playboy magazines, but the magazines I found in the top of my mom's closet, were different. He concluded with saying, my name is Ye, and I sucked my cousin's D till I was 14.
Yeah.
And,
so these are the bars.
Okay.
These are the opening bars to Cousins. All I'm gonna do is first verse. That's all we need. Hanging with my cousin, reading dirty magazines. We seen 2 niggas kissing. We ain't know what that shit mean. Then we started reenacting everything that we had seen. That's when I gave my cousin head. Gave my cousin head. Gave my cousin head. I gave my cousin head. I gave my cousin head. Don't nobody clip this out of context, y'all. I'm reading Kanye lyrics, all right? I'm not saying that I did that. I'm reading Kanye lyrics. Don't nobody.
But he made a song about it too. I thought it was just a tweet.
No.
No,
There's a song. The song featuring Jesme Tariq, whoever that is called Cousins, and the project is called Cook. C-U-C-K. So
what? How you spell again? Wait, what?
Yeah, you know, like a dude who gets sexual gratification from looking at his girl fucking other dudes. That's what a cook is, and his album is called Cook.
That's
all right. So on both fronts, I now have answers. Is Kanye West a sexual deviant? Is it trauma inflicted? Yes. Is Kanye West a cuck because he makes sure that his girl is not ever dressed? Yes. That's all I needed to know. Because
here's my thing. I'm calling bullshit on the cousin thing. Calling bullshit on the whole cousin thing. Here's
why. That sounds like the clone talking. That don't sound like Kanye. That sounds like the clone.
Really?
I don't believe it. Here's why. First of all, he says, and you can answer this as a woman, Allie. He says he found Playboys in his dad's closet, right?
Right.
That's what he says. Okay. And then he says he found different magazines in his mom's closet, right? Okay.
Yes.
Let's start there. Allie, what women do you know are looking at gay porn of 2 dudes?
All
okay.
Right.
So instantly, I'm out of it right there.
Wait. I know some weird women. I do know some weird women. I know of 2
Dr.
women
Donda?
in my life who are into gay porn, to be totally honest. Normally, I would say that is absurd. However, I have some absurd people in my life. So I actually do know of people who would have those magazines.
Okay, so that's questionable at best because you know a few people which you just admitted are absurd humans in it of themselves. So
I mean, they agree it's a weird kink, but they're into it.
So normal straight women not into gay porn, safe to say.
Usually not.
Okay, so by everything we know about Dr. Donda West, seems like a normal woman, correct? Would we say?
I mean, I don't, honestly, to be totally honest, I don't really know too much about Donda West, 1,000%, but I'll just say yes, because I feel like you guys might have done your research. I don't know.
I mean, she seemed like she was on the straight and narrow, you know what I mean, by everything we know, you know, well, everything I've heard.
I don't know, because you also look at her seed and you'd be like,
I'm
Yeah, that's
mad
the
that
thing.
people almost ruined the song "Family Business" for me out of all this.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Damn.
Because people were going back to lines that he said in Family Business, and they were correlating a lot of that to what he said in this latest song.
Oh, word.
Yeah, here, I'll pull up a few lines.
I was gonna say,
Pull up those
please,
lines,
please
Lines
because
like,
elaborate.
my
Yeah, go
cousin
ahead.
locked down, know the answer's in us. Super hard on Thanksgiving and Christmas. This can't be right. Act like you ain't took a bath with your cousins. You can still love your man and be manly, dog. Like there's a few lines in there that are,
Okay.
that you could go back on and look suspect. But here's the other thing about Family Business that a lot of people forget about. A lot of that song was allegedly ghostwritten. So I'm not gonna put a lot of that on Kanye himself, but yeah.
A lot of that
Never
album.
know.
Don't like that people almost ruined that song for me because that's one of Kanye's best songs.
Yeah. Shout out to Rhymefest and Consequence. A lot of that album was ghostwritten.
Yeah.
But so I'm still not convinced because one, I think you found the magazines in your mom's closet thing is suspect. Two, like I found magazines in my dad's, you know what I'm saying, stash at one point. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, there's some Playboy. Oh shit, Robin Givens did a Playboy. I didn't know that. Like, let me see what this is about. And I was young. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably 7, 8 years old. That didn't turn me into some weird sex freak. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how that played out. Like, I think the majority of young men see something sexual at some point young in their life, and it doesn't turn the majority of us into these weirdo like sex you know what I'm saying? Like I could maybe see if you're like seeing some like aggressive hardcore like whips and chains crazy shit and you're too young for it, maybe. But realistically, like when you're in like pre-pubescent, like going into puberty, like you see some shit like that, you're just kind of excited by it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh shit, like it's a titty. Like, and then that's about it. Like, you know what I mean? You might tell your boy, like, oh, I saw a titty yesterday, blah, blah, blah. That's the end of it, pretty much. Like, that's that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, I just feel like going from looking at magazines to doing gay stuff with your male cousin is just such an extreme leap that, like, if he was an older male cousin that was touching on him or something, I could see that. That's a more believable story. If it's an uncle or something like that, I could see that. That's more. But peers, like two cousins that are the same age, that's what this sounds like.
That is what it's also being reported as, is that this supposed cousin is actually in jail right now, and supposedly he is a few years younger than Kanye. I need to verify his exact age, but from what everyone has said so far is that there is, without a shadow of a doubt, allegedly, that Ye is the older of the two.
So then he's the predator.
So he'd be the one in the wrong.
The way that he made it sound in the tweet, or the way that I guess a lot of us perceived it, was that it was either very consensual, or it was like maybe the cousin manipulated him, put him in a compromising situation and forced him to do the act. However, upon people doing research, they now have figured out that the cousin is actually the younger of the two. So if anything, everyone is feeling even more uncomfortable because they feel as though Ye just outed himself as being a molester.
Even more reason why I don't believe it now.
Years old.
Because even more reason why I don't believe it then. This is definitely part of this rollout. At this point, I'm convinced, because he always does the Hitler shit whenever he's about to do a rollout. He always does the slavery's a choice shit. He brings out Bianca and makes her be naked or give him head in public somewhere, or do, you know what I'm saying? Like, he always does this wild shit whenever an album's about to roll out. And then for the most part, he's chilling in between. Like, we don't hear from Kanye. So that even more lends me to believe, if you tell this story, like, and you're the perpetrator of the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you could get in trouble for that, or if there's a statute of limitations around, sexual assault or whatever, but like, that almost lends me to believe it's almost like the dude who's like, yeah, I killed 30 niggas and hasn't killed anybody because he knows he can't get in trouble for it. Because he's like, there ain't no bodies on my name, so I can say whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I almost think it's like that type of play where he's like, I could say I was molesting my little cousin. If it's not true, then what are they going to do about it?
And then here go the other play with it too. Like you can look at it on a surface level too. Like him doing this just solely for the attention of the rollout. Look at all of the artists that he used to work with that he has fallen out with that are like that are deemed as the most popular right now. Travis Scott does not work with him anymore. Playboi Carti just put out an album. I guess Carti took him off the album. Like the Ty Dolla $ign relationship, that's fallen through the waist. Like all these different relationships.
Real quick, Ye also said that Carti pulled a gun out on him. Apparently, that's
I don't believe that. I don't believe that either. I don't believe that either, though. But see, and here's the thing. I stand with Shane on a lot of this because a lot of what Kanye says comes out to be a lot of trolly, just made up shit nowadays, and you can, at this point, it's kind of sad because you can kind of read between the lines and see through a lot of this bullshit with Kanye. Like, it's not even like how it was back then where he would say something online and you would have to kind of be like, oh, is this real or is this fake with Ye? Like, no, we know now. We know the truth now. So, like, the fact that
everything's a play, it seems like.
It does.
Yeah, it's like the fact that he's still putting up this much of a fight to reel like the people in that still believe in him this much. It's sad to see, and I'm almost more sad for the fans that still believe in him this hard, that are the ones that are like, oh, I still love Ye no matter what. Like, no matter what Kanye says, like I still love him. It's like, bro, how can you stand behind a lot of this shit nowadays? Like, I don't understand it.
Christou, like now as an artist, like because I used to rap as well, so I know like I for sure was influenced by Kanye at certain points. Now, as somebody who I assume was also influenced by Kanye to one degree or another, because you said you're also a producer, so being a rapper, artist, producer, that's I would imagine Kanye was an influence. What are you thinking when you see all this crazy shit that he's doing? Like in 2025, as somebody who was probably listening to him in 2004 when he came out with College Dropout, you know what I mean?
For me, that's I'm very progressive, so I do miss a lot of stuff that happens. So like a lot of this is news to me, except for the the whole tweet situation. But I just think unfortunately, that's just kind of the business model for the entertainment industry as a whole. Like you can give another example with like Will and Jada. Like they are still happily married, but it's like they have convenient controversy. And when I say that, one of the controversies had the Red Talk table rollout after it. The other had like people didn't even correlate the fact that Will Smith is EP of Cobra Kai. And they Netflix picked that up from YouTube. So he got a check from that already doing good on YouTube, and then they picked that up and it became a show on Netflix. So like regardless of August Alsina saying whatever, like he's still making a check over here. And it's like I think even after that, like the next the slap, he had a book, Jada had with a movie or something. I think a Netflix movie or something else. Like, so I think it's just kind of like a business model that a lot of entertainers that are a part of certain entities, I'm not gonna say are forced to do, but it's just like I think the science of it works in their favor so much. So like when Kanye does this, what happens? Subliminal or that what's the word I'm looking for? We just unconsciously like, okay, now the radio is finna spin Kanye like all week, So it's like there's nothing that they really lose in these things except for our respect. And it's like, okay, well, for some people, they look at it from a hustler standpoint. Okay, well, I lost respect over here. Let me go over here. Let me get as much as I can out of this situation. Not to say Kanye is that type of artist, but I'm just seeing that as a business model. Looking at this as a business person, like I'm seeing that as a business model that a lot of people follow. Some successful, some not. Some you don't have enough people to do stuff like that. So you could just end how much money you make, in the future. A lot of people won't do deals with you, but then you have other people who have invested in so many things that they're silently invested in these things that you use day to day. And so it's like the conversation stays in your head longer than when someone does charity. Like LeBron James' school, we talk about his hairline more than his school. We
Right.
talk about like the negative stuff people do. It just stays in your mind longer because you just think like the audacity of this person. You think to yourself, and so you keep this person relevant in your head for a longer period of time than with the good stuff. And I think that is just a business model that's pushed on signed artists, people that's connected with certain entities. They kind of guide you to do that because maybe their product is linked to you acting so crazy, or it's just I think that's where a lot of those antics come from. And I think Kanye, to the point that he makes so much money that he really kind of don't care. It's like he kind of come and throw everybody and then just hop back in his shell. Like Michael Jackson used to do that. He used to he used to go fishing and look for people and try to bring them in, bring them into his world for a second and then bring them back out. Or he dress in a costume and be going in the grocery store because he Michael Jackson. He can't do that anymore. So like he wants the joy of being able to just normally go shop for food. And I think there's a video on YouTube about that. So like he did that, to troll people in a way, because it's fun. Like you're rich, you got time on your hand a little bit, so you can hop in and do something and then take a year off because I made so much money from the controversy. So I'm kind of thinking that's what the situation is. I don't know because I don't know any of his people. I know some people in the industry, but I don't know any of his people. So, I can't say for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that. I like that term. I might steal that from you. Convenient controversy. Because that's exactly
Yeah.
that's what this is, in my opinion. That's what I'm looking at. That's and if I'm wrong, cool. You know what I mean? If the cousin come out and say, no, that he really did that to me, then okay, I apologize. But until then, I'm calling bullshit. I don't think none of that shit happened. I think Kanye's lying.
Dude, what purpose does it serve? To his campaign, it doesn't give anybody any more respect. That we're not gonna call him a hero because he's telling his truth or anything like that. The way you did it wasn't in an endearing way that allowed people to really empathize with you. This is a world now that they accept different facets of people. So the way you did it wasn't in any way to garner any natural love for you. So I really don't get, other than the convenient controversy, I don't really get why and why now.
And then the funnier part about it is something that you said that I really keyed in on. What are people going to really do? Are they even going to really even play the actual song where he said all that? No. What they're going to do on the radio is they're going to play Gold Digger. They're going to play all the old hits, off Late Registration and off My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and shit like that. They're going to play all those hits. And then in between those hits, they're going to go on and be like, boy, oh boy, this is Kanye when he was great. Ooh, man, we miss this Kanye. What happened to this Kanye? Callers, call in so we can find out what happened to Kanye and give us your opinion on that one song that just came out that we cannot play on the radio. That's what they're going to do. And then all they're going to do is put more money in Kanye's pockets because that's more radio spins for him. So, yeah. But I completely agree with you, man. With that business cycle shit, it's all just a cycle. I really do believe in that.
Now let me ask you this. Let me ask everybody this. While we're here, YG did something similar recently. He put out a song that went pretty viral,
and Kanye stepped all over that shit.
Exactly. Honestly.
Now his was dealing with. I was just gonna say his. Now, I haven't heard the song, but I'm assuming that he was talking about being a teenager and sleeping with an older woman and now realizing that was actually sexual assault. That seems to be the theme of the song. So, yeah, I guess my question is, one, I mean, y'all kind of answered it. Again, is this a play to just step on that? Because everybody was talking about that. Oh, I can one-up you. I fucked my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Again, don't fucking clip this out of context, people. But or is it, you know what I mean? Like, is this a new? I saw this on another YouTube show, and it's a good question. Is this a trend in hip hop that we're about to see, where we're about to start seeing rappers talk about like sexual trauma from their past and stuff? Because before it was always a bragging point. I've been getting pussy since I was 13, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that. But now that we know, like in 2025, everybody kind of knows like that's not really cool. You know what I mean? Like if you're 14, you're fucking another 14-year-old. All right, that's your business, I guess, whatever. But like we all heard about like the old dude who was coming to pick up the chicks from high school and shit like that, and it was normal at certain points, and then later on we now know that's not normal and it's not cool. So it's like, is hip hop now getting to the point where, you know, maybe wanting to fuck the teacher and actually doing it, now we look back like, that teacher took advantage of me. Like, are we going to see more of that? Or is this, y'all get what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah. I'll answer your question. I'll answer the question quick. I think right now it's too early to tell because we've only seen it from two artists. So right now, I won't say that it's an epidemic that we're about to start seeing from a bunch of rappers that are going to start sharing their truth. However, what I will say is, I will start paying attention now, a lot more now that there are more than one that have said it. If if three or four more, or even five more, come out by the end of the year and have a few more stories, then yeah, I would say yes, we are about to start seeing that. If it's just an isolated incident between YG and Kanye, then I would say no, we haven't gotten to that point yet.
okay.
Personally, I agree with Eric, and I honestly feel as though Ye is definitely in this era of biting other artists that are being successful off of something that is taboo, that is controversial. Normally that is his bag. However, it don't hit the same when you're known as a boy that calls wolf. So now you need to jump on other trends. Now we're calling Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't know. We're calling whatever the fuck. We're calling lion. We're calling bear. And we're just jumping on what everyone else is calling, because when we signal the alarms, it's not as effective. I agree with Eric in that, yes, it'll get your old shit played. Maybe not as much on the new stuff, but I also feel as though Ye is very much aware of what people are saying about him out there. And I think that he's also become more aware that people have noticed how much he is obsessed with talking about sex, porn, pornography, in reality, as in like dressing his girl booty ass butt naked on an
And
actual
that I
red
will
carpet.
say is a consistent theme since the beginning of his career. That
Yep.
actually has always been there. The whole like kind of being
But
obsessed with porn and sex thing.
I
That's kind
agree
of always
with
been there.
you.
Yep.
I agree with you. However, he never actually went around and confirmed anything that like it was always in the music. I agree. But I never really saw him go in like in the tweets and be like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm obsessed. You know what I mean? Like now it's giving, now that I know that that's a hot topic that you guys have been talking about, and I have been talking about that on the low for years. I've been dying for you to talk about it. Now let me really open the door. You know what I mean? I feel as though he's been keeping the door open. He's been wanting someone to touch the gate, touch the handle, but no one really was fully paying attention. We were all into the woke. We were all into the gospel. We were all into the experimental. And now we are just now really paying attention into his real sexual deviance or his proclivities or whatever it is. And now we're talking about it. And I think that he's perking up. He's hearing it on the blogs. He's listening to the podcast. And I feel like he's now like, oh, all right, it's finally worked. Now let me tell you some other shit to really make your jaw drop. And it is giving forced. It is giving ingenuine. It's definitely giving clickbait. It's giving rage bait. That's definitely what it's giving for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually got a question for y'all. Like it is interesting to me, and I'm gonna bring a totally different perspective here, just to pry your brains real quick, just to see
Okay.
what you think. So commonly with him, there has been a lot of controversy between him and Kim. And I'm wondering if the title is like to shine a light on her. I know he has his troubles with not being able to see his daughter, things like that. You lose your mom, then now you have a daughter, to continue a legacy, a female legacy with, and then you can't see her, things of that sort. So, I have a child that doesn't stay with me and she stays with her mother. And our relationship sometimes is well, sometimes it isn't. And, I just try to, remain a good guy and not. I try to stay away from the controversy so that, our situation can stay cohesive. But, since everybody's been involved in that situation, I'm wondering, like, is this like, because I haven't heard the song. Now I want to listen to see if there's any other lyrics that we just like, we focused on that, but he said something else. And it's maybe like this, just like a disguised cry for help. Because, I mean, to say he's a cuck, like to watch all these dudes be with Kim after you, then of course you're gonna feel some kind of way, your daughter around these guys, she's building relationships that you really can't control anything about. I'm wondering, does this have anything to do with that? Do y'all think it does, being that he named the song Cup?
I think a lot of it has to do with that, for sure. I mean, we can even see it through Kanye's past relationships, even before Kim, like even with Amber. Like we saw how that went down and how that ended, and
Yeah.
It goes back to a certain pattern that it seems like with Kanye, but it feels like he doesn't really know how to like deal with closure well in general. Whether it's with dealing with the closure of somebody that unfortunately left him before their time was supposed to be up, whether it's somebody that he lost in just a relationship through industry standards or whatever the case may be, or whether it's people that used to be on his label that are no longer on his label, people that he wants to have nice like industry working relationships with, but then it falls out for whatever reason or the case may be. Like it just seems like he doesn't really know how to have closure with people well at all. And I think in pretty much every aspect that we've kind of seen him in through pretty much every relationship that he's been in the public eye, the closure hasn't ever really been addressed by him in a very healthy way. And so I think until he learns how to deal with a lot of the issues with him and these other relationships in a healthy way, I think you're going to continue to see this, whether it's him going on stage and airing out public issues, or going on Twitter and leaving DMs before they can even have a conversation. It's like, it's one thing after another. And, especially when you're a celebrity, I can't speak for it because I've never been a celebrity, so I don't know. But when you're that famous and when you're basically leaking public information about another extremely famous person, that's extremely dangerous to do. It's dangerous for you to do it when you have 1,000 followers and you're leaking somebody's information, let alone over 1 million people. And Kanye is one of the most followed people on the planet. Right. So, and you see how his fans are, especially. So yeah, I think until he learns how to deal with closing out relationships in a healthy way, these cycles are going to continue to.
Well, I think it's a couple of things also in addition to that, because I agree with all of your points, but I think I have reasons for your points being correct. So from my estimation, the only woman besides his mom, you know, and whatever other family members or whatever that we, you know, we don't know them though. So we know about his mom. And the only other woman publicly that we know of, in my mind, that he's actually loved was Kim. I think he always wanted Kim from the first time he saw her. Like, I think all of that was honest. You know what I mean? Even if it was on the Ray J tape, he found her beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And then she was, you know, doing her thing with Paris Hilton, and you know, she kind of was making a name for herself a little bit after that. I think he really genuinely wanted her, but she was always with other people at the time. She was with Reggie Bush, and she was with, you know, whoever it was in the NBA, and, you know, different guys or whatever that she was dating. So he, if you look at his pattern, was always, I think, just trying to get the closest thing, or, you know, for the lack of a better term, a Kim clone. That's where Amber Rose comes from. Amber Rose wasn't famous before Kanye, but if you know what I mean, like, not to be gross or nothing like that or objectified, but if you look at their bodies, it's a very similar body type. Big butt, big titties, real thick. You know what I'm saying? Shapely. Like, that's the Kim model, kind of. Like, before that, it was like kind of J-Lo was sort of that model, and then Kim kind of took over. Like, that was, you know, that was what he wanted. So he got it with Amber, but that wasn't her. So when they break up, then you have to think about his arrogance. So that's where the lack of closure comes in that Eric's talking about. You have to think about his arrogance, because then Amber leaves him, and maybe she has some not so nice things to say about him in public. And it's, who the fuck is this bitch to be talking about me? I'm Kanye. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where that lack of closure and maybe the public ugliness of that breakup comes into play. Then he does get Kim. You know what I'm saying? Has a bunch of kids with her. He's living the life. She is not happy anymore because he's a huge weirdo. You know what I mean? That's basically, from all the news accounts, that's what it seems like the story is. So she dips. You know what I'm saying? And now he can't he got his dream girl, and he fucked it up. He fumbled the bag. So now he spent his whole time trying to replace her again. That's where you get Bianca. That's where you get the other woman that he was with before Bianca. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a replica of Kim.
Right.
You know,
definitely.
so I do, so that, you know, in a long-winded way, is to say that's why I agree with all of your points, Eric, and I think that's the why behind all of it. Why he has problems with closure, you know, with all these different people. And then to your point, Christou, where you say the cuck thing, because in his mind, Kim is still his woman. In his mind, again, that's where the arrogance comes into play. In his mind, Kim is still his woman. He just ain't got her back yet. So, you know, because she's got his kids and all of that stuff. So he probably does, to a degree, feel like he's being cooked by, you know, whenever she's dating somebody new, like the Pete Davidson situation, or, you know, whoever else. The only difference is he's not getting any pleasure out of it because he's not an actual cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, an actual cook likes seeing their woman, you know, doing things with other men. That's where the pleasure comes from. And he's using it in the derogatory way, where we call somebody a cook, like, for, you know, if that girl is getting a little too wild, we'd be like, what, you like that shit? What, you cuck ass nigga? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So
that's where the closure part comes into me, because he's still not over it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because exactly. So I agree with both of y'all, really. Like, and, you know, it's sad on one hand, but it's like, bro, like, you got to get over that shit. Like, you got to realize your mistakes. You got to realize where you fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And you continuously going over the top is not going to help the situation. Every time you go public, it makes it worse. So why keep doing it? You know what I'm saying?
Because, like, at this point, you're, like, risking, like, seeing your kids and shit now.
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
So it's like, what are we doing here?
And then to do the whole, this white woman's controlling my black kids. Guess what? You chose to have kids with that white woman. So
just like slavery was a choice, right?
And also,
I don't hear that shit.
And
That's the mother of your kids. That's not just some random white woman. That is their mom, nigga. Like,
and also, did we forget, like, this woman, like, has spent, like, the past couple of years in, like, law school or whatever it is.
Right.
Like, you think she's not preparing for all this, lawyering up?
Yeah, right.
Like, what are we doing? What are we talking
literally about? Got you in writing saying you were going to give the rights to the kids' names To her, she is. People want to act like Kim is a dummy. She is no dummy. Okay,
She's never
she
been.
got
Nah,
you on text
nah.
message. So when you came on Twitter talking that I didn't know whoop de whoop what is going on, Northwest apparently his name and her rights and her likeness do not belong to me. What's going on? Everybody attack her white mama. Kimberly was able to pull up a text message where you said, okay, oh, well, I'm gonna give you the rights. Like, nigga, please, goodbye.
And let's
But
be
And while
real, this
also,
you
is the
Wow.
Kardashian family we're talking about. Like, this is they're
powerful,
basically the king's queen royalty in America, like
the and are.
level looked at. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also, so I love what the guys have said so far. I just want to add one more layer. I honestly believe that one, Kanye has always been a cook. I think that's always been his thing. Amber recently did an interview. I
so you
swear,
think he's a real
it's,
cook? Like he
I
actually does. He's the real
truly
thing.
believe.
Okay.
So Amber went on an interview recently. And so someone asked her, so like, okay, what is up with him having Bianca butt ass naked? Like, what's going on?
What's
Do
the
you
deal?
think it's like a fashion thing or do you think it's a preference, a sexual thing? Amber basically broke down that he has always been a cuck, that he always wants any woman that he is with to be desired by other women. Or I'm sorry, by other men. I'm sorry, to be desired by other men. And that he is the one who is always dressing them. Every single time that you see them on a red carpet, especially, it is his idea what they are wearing. And so she's like, yeah, you saw me in those bodysuits. Yay. You saw Kim in a skimpy, little tiny bitty whatever. That was yay. Now you see Bianca booty buck naked. That's yay. Like that has always been his kink. So I
Is
believe
he
her
more
truly.
is he a cuck though, or is that more of like voyeurism almost? Like
sounds more
because
like
I
voyeurism to me.
I
because
think that
it's
it's
almost like
a bit of both. I think that what you can do
because
on
the
a
only
red
reason I say
carpet
that
and
is
what
just
you can
because I
do
feel
behind
like
closed doors are very different. And I think that he gets off on both.
because I feel like he's just doing what I think most men want, but just to such an extreme. I think most men do kind of want other men to look at their woman and be like, "Damn, she bad." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
but that's where it stops. Like for
But that's the
most of
thing. That's the
them,
thing.
right there.
Amber specifically said that he wants other men to desire to fuck his woman. She didn't
Okay, if
just
she,
say
yeah,
that,
see,
oh,
yeah,
like he wants them to look at her and desire
Yeah,
her.
that's definitely.
Right.
that,
He
yeah,
really wants
Yeah,
them to be in their mind thinking about fucking his woman. So yeah, I
that's a
believe
little
her. I
touchy.
truly do because there's things that she said in the past that has really ruffled his feathers, and it wasn't like he necessarily said that what she was claiming was a lie. So
Yeah,
I don't think that she's wrong. And
it
then
was
the
more like, bitch,
other
why would you tell them that? Like,
Yeah.
that was between us. Why would you do
right.
this?
Right. And she said some other shit. She said some other shit with fingers and booty holes and all types of shit. So I
I
really don't
remember.
think he wants to go in a Twitter battle with her ever again, though, too.
Nah,
So I think
it's a
that's why
wrap.
he stayed, hush hush on this one. But another thing is I also feel like Ye does not take accountability for a motherfucking thing. I feel like
Nah,
he is so quick that if a single person in his life has a problem with the way that he moves, the way that he treats them, he will always act like the victim. I mean, we've seen it, Kim, Bianca. I mean, he trashed Amber when he got with Kim, try to
his
act like he needed to take
artist.
1,000 showers to be with Kim. Now it's I never wanted to have any babies with Kim. I mean,
Like,
it's just like it's never an accountability. Also, did anybody notice that he's now not friends with Game? Apparently, the Maybachs was not enough to make a friendship. Now all of a sudden Game's out. And again, another example of him flipping the script the moment that I don't the moment that he feels friction, the moment that he feels tension in a relationship, He does not even go to the point of, let me actually go talk to them. Let me wait for them to respond. It is just now attack mode, cut off mode. And that type of shit just screams no accountability, no type of maturity. So that's all I gotta say. I think that everything else that you guys said was absolutely right, but we need to also add that layer. That's it.
I'm with that. I'm with that. Yeah, the game was so stupid because it's like, you know, just to put a bow on that, because y'all know I'm the resident game fan of the show. So, but from the way the story, you know, from what I see, obviously we know Game is cool with Drake, right? So the dude, I guess, top 5, who is on Drake's team somehow, was threatening Kanye, right? And so now this is what Game says. Game says that Kanye reached out to Game and basically said, hey, can you get him like on the phone with me so we can squash whatever this is? You know what I'm saying? Because he's threatening me and, you know, whatever. And so I guess Game is like, cool, I can, you know what I'm saying, try to squash this basically because I'm cool with both sides or whatever. So I don't know if that phone call happens or what, but top 5 posts something with Drake and Game comments on Instagram under it, just, you know, like some fire emojis or whatever he put under there. And Kanye saw that and he was like, oh, so you're cool with my enemies and blah, 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 and all of this type of shit. So that's where the fallout happens. And he's like, I'm not executive producing your album no more and all of this. And Game's like, nigga, you asked me to talk to them because you knew I was cool with them already. So like, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Christou,
why
do you see this craziness?
Back. I don't give a fuck. Like,
that's wild.
So, yeah. But we do have a more level-headed artist on the show today. So, Christou, where can the people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they find your music before we get up out of here?
All right. Well, I want to say a couple things. First, I appreciate y'all for bringing me. Y'all have been saying my name wrong. It's Christou, but Dom, the guy that, you know, my marketing guy, Dom, shout out to Dom 803. Hey, Dom 803. He always says Christou. So like people, you know, think my name is Christou, but it's Christou. It's actually like in relation to the drink Cristal and how rappers say it. You know,
okay.
I kind of
it has a whole story.
Like
It has a whole story with my mom, you know, like, so, you know, that is where I kind of identify with Kanye. You know, I am a mama's boy, you know, because I was raised by my mom, you know, and I do everything for her, and she's been there for me, you know what I mean? But she wanted me to put Christ in my name, so because I sang gospel, so it's spelled Christou, but I pronounce it Christou. And you can find me Christou on everything. Christou, Christou, DaKeeng, and that's on everything. Like, you know, ChristouDaKeeng.com, at Christou on X, on Instagram, on Twitter. Well, not Twitter. What's it? TikTok. You know, everything. Like it's the same on everything. And then I just want to say to y'all didn't tell me we were smoking. So, like, I would have had me one ready. Everybody had a puff of smoke in their window except for me, and I just feel so left out. Like, my song, when y'all look up Fly Away, that song is all about smoking. I have the smoker's anthem for the Southeast.
Man, we was talking about Cushion Orange Juice too when we first came in. I thought you would have knew.
Nah, I did hear I heard the story where you was getting the tree from what was Niagara?
Yeah, Niagara Falls. Yep.
I got a similar story where
give us your vacay story, bro, before we get out of here.
Please.
Yeah, real quick. So me, my wife, I'm married. So me and my wife, and you know, some of my couple friends, we took a trip to Puerto Rico. And so we're smokers. Like me and my wife, we smoke, you know, wake up in the morning, get coffee and a blunt, whatever. So going to Puerto Rico, I knew I had to have, most definitely. We went to Puerto Rico. We got, you know, we brought some with us, but we ran out. So, you know, me, my thing is I'm different. Like I'm a singer, but I've been in the hood all my life. You know what I'm saying? So like in my area, I can do what a lot of artists can't. A lot of hardcore rappers can't go in different hoods and just like, be there and not get touched and not get bothered. And that's kind of my MO, like anywhere I go. So I went to the hood in Puerto Rico. I went to old San Juan, not new San Juan, not we stayed in the mountains. Our Airbnb was in the mountains. So like I'm the only one that speaks a little bit of Spanish. So I facilitated, like we was on the beach. We kind of ran across a couple kids. They was I don't even know what they was doing. They was doing something. But I just decided to, talk to them because they was playing some music. That's what it was. So I told them, I do music, and then we just started conversing a little bit. And then I asked them, I was like, yo, y'all know what marijuana at? And so, one dude did. Yeah, one dude did. The other ones was like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about, which I understand. You know what I mean? Because old San Juan is not an easy place to get in and out of. Like for real, that's a coveted community. So we went, and it was real shady, kind of like your story, like a little treasure hunt. We went one place, went to another place, and then we ended up at this spot. My man that I met, he went in the spot. He talked to the people for me. I told him exactly what I was looking for. They gave me exactly what I was looking for. Now it probably wasn't in Canada grade, but it supplied us for the rest of our trip. And I'm always that dude when it comes to that. So I just wanted to give a correlating story with that, to show our penmanship.
There you go. There you go. There's a reason you got. I was gonna say, there's a reason you got brought to us today. You know what I mean? Yeah. One of a kind. Right. You feel me?
Yeah. Most definitely. Y'all gotta have me back on. I really enjoyed. Like this is very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. Y'all are some very cool people. I had a great vibe with y'all. So whenever y'all want some good energy, I'm gonna come back, and this time I'm gonna be prepared. So we can cheat and chong it up. But I thank y'all for having me, for real.
Sure.
Hey, man, we'll have you on whenever you want to come back, bro. You're dropping a new song every month, you said. Now is this leading up to a final project where everything's coming out all at once, or is this just appreciate the songs as they come and whatever you like, you like?
Nah. So yes, actually it is leading up to a contest. So at the end of the year, it'll end with a Christmas song on December. And from that point, all the fans that follow me, all the fans I gain, I'm doing like ad campaigns throughout this process in targeted areas so that I can visit these areas as well. So at the end of this, if you pay attention to all the songs and you can give me a line from each song, you qualify to win $1,000. Throughout the year, if my fandom rises, if the amount of people I have on all my social media and YouTube rises to a goal amount, then at that point the pot will increase. So that's the incentive for people to add more people to this whole movement. And so the person will win 1,000 or whatever it is by the time we get to December. And then after that, I'll roll out a project on iTunes that's only available on iTunes. I'm basically trying to chart with that. So it's going to be because I do like a lot of like rap and singing, like hip hop, popular music, like, popping music, club music. I had like this underground mixtape called Quiet Storm back in the day. And I took it off my website, Christou.DaKeeng.com, by the way. I took it off my website, but I'm putting it back up as like this little hidden gem. So like something else interactive with my website to where fans can go look for this album. It's free. They can download it. It's an old project, but it's called Quiet Storm. So that's what like my core fans, like my hardcore fans, they love that project. It was about relationships, but it was designed as I was the radio show host, and people would call in with scenarios they're going through, and then they would want to hear a song that's catering to that. And so as the DJ host, I would give people that song for that scenario. I had one called Going Through the Motions, where the couple was going through a whole bunch of stuff, but they was listening to outside influence. So I said, we can't be listening to backseat drivers in some of the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? Because we driving in our relationship. So if we listen to the backseat drivers, how we going to be driving forward? You know what I mean? We ain't even looking in the right direction. So, just like that's what people appreciate from my R&B music. It's going to be something that your relationship can heal from, or if you alone, it's something that's going to be, it's going to empower you to find, to be in your best state to find the person you want to attract, you know. So, you know, that's what I'm all about. Like everything got a message, even if it's fun, like there's going to be that one hidden gem that can change your life forever. And you just want to hear the song again just for that little gem. So, Quiet Storm, the album, I don't even know if that's gonna be the name. I just said that because we was right here. But I know that the album is gonna be like Quiet Storm mixtape,
Okay.
to where it's gonna be like a theme. Everything rides from beginning to end, and we're working on that now, man. It's amazing so far. I got a song called Read Your Mind on that's gonna be on the album, and it's basically what every couple go through. Like somebody ain't talking and I can't read your mind. So, you know, I need you to talk. I need you to speak to me. I need you to say what's going on so we can fix this problem. And that's what that song's about. So that's just giving a little inkling of like how this album is gonna be. And I think it's gonna be like my Rihanna, what's her last album? Anti? Like that's gonna be my anti, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I probably can retire off of it because of how well we're putting this together. The songs are mixed and mastered very well. Shout out to Orpheus Sound Studio, orpheussounds.com. They do Atmos, you know, surround sound, like it's immersive sound. You know, and then shout out to Joe Lambert, mastering in New York. He's worked with Wu-Tang, Jada Kiss, some of the greatest, and he's been mastering my stuff. They like my stuff so much. They, you know, we have this great rapport. You know, I've been giving them hits. They've been loving it, you know. So, you know, at the end of the day, man, I just got so many surprises. So everybody that's, you know, with me, you know what I mean? Everybody that's following the journey, like you're gonna have something new that's gonna keep popping up, keep you entertained, keep you drawn in. I'm gonna try to stay away from controversy. I'm not that type of dude, but I ain't no pussy ass nigga either. So, you know, at the end of the day, like I'm gonna stand on mine every time, like for real. You know what I mean? I might be a single, but don't push me for real. So,
And the R&B singers, hey,
Real
shit,
shit.
the R&B singers be the ones, man. They've been
Right.
for real,
tripping
man.
20
Man,
years.
Trey Songz love to fight. Like
They
them Chris
tripping
Brown love to fight. I don't know what's wrong with them dudes. They mad. But
on that
y'all get
shit.
all the women, but y'all mad. Y'all
All the
love to fight. I don't
Browns.
know what it is.
All the
Just don't
Browns.
come to me.
James Brown, Bobby Brown, Chris
Right.
Brown, all of them like that. Man, they wild. Shout out to
Hey,
R&B
man.
singers.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
Nah,
All
for
right,
real.
Ellie.
Thank y'all for having me. For real, I appreciate this.
Yeah,
No
Thank
for
you
doubt.
so
sure,
much
man.
for being here for real. And we are so sorry that we messed up your name. Christou, we are so sorry. But
Oh,
thank
it's
you
all
so
right.
much.
That happen all the time. I ain't pressed about it. Like I'm Christou today. Hell, shit. I'll be Christou. Shit. That's what y'all call me. That's what I am.
I said you
Shoot,
let
we
us
got it.
know. You let us do that for an hour and a half, big dog. So you know
Right.
what
He
I'm
ain't
saying?
correct us not one time.
Oh my
I
god.
Like,
normally
whatever.
don't, bro.
Fuck
I
it.
normally don't.
Hey, it's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good. I'm Shane, but
No,
I'm Sean half the time. So, you
Right.
know, I understand. You know what I'm
it
Right.
saying? I
happens, bro.
understand.
It is not a normal spelling, you know. So I get it. It's a Greek last name, and the Greek last name is actually Christo. So you know, at the end of the day, I do understand the correct enunciation of the name, but you know, that's just how I pronounce it.
Got
My
it.
boy Spanish will love that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just thinking that. I was literally just thinking about that as soon as you said that.
All right, Allie, take us up out of here.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Make sure that you guys check out our other episodes on Ethos Media Network. We always have a new episode for you every single Monday. We also have more candid conversations on the Ethos Media Network Patreon page. So make sure you guys go check that out. But this was Bar Exam. I hope that you guys subscribe before you go, but we'll see you on the next one. Bye.